Madam Boboy Madi, Laukali, Idipoti Rice and Company. Yele Rice and Company, the only company I know with rice was cooking water and back and neck. Now in the last valley short, I said Bryce. In the old the plus nefla where you have a roofing material and seamless guttering. Yes, 24 gauge governors, all colors. Ever open Nipu gas agent, they program the computer to give you the exact size you want. And the seamless guttering aluminum that can better withstand the elements. You have in an easy way, so no leaking after a while. And so much more. Bryce and Company, the by 8 bank close to the old mill at Enfield. Telephone 617-2468.
Contest the quality. When I'm out and it's my time to play. It's a trading crew, making a difference for you. I hear you get rocked anytime you drink it. The XM Supreme, 15 years. The XM Royal, 10 years. XM 5 years. And the 750 milliliter. Come on, pass me a Banks from Banks Extra Matcha Premium Blend. Try out the 200 or the 750 ml. Yeah, man, guaranteed for any occasion. Say you can't go wrong with Banks from. Hey, think and test the quality. Banks from. Banks, yeah, more than Chanel. Banks Supreme High Wine, the pot and the white wine, and for the fruitcake, the bread that tell me, Banks carry brandy. I give it Banks, think and test the quality. Banks from. When I'm out and it's my time to play, Banks from. It's a trading and the crew making a difference for you. I hear you get runs anytime you drink it. Remember, drink responsibly.
We are in the hurricane season. Don't forget to secure your home, board up windows, reinforce garage doors, and trim trees to prevent damage from flying debris.
Tuesday afternoon time, 1:21, as we welcome you warmly from wherever you are. This is Talk on the Block for today on the big station Q95. Now, it has been reported, Rob Picheta of CNN, chaos in Kenya as protesters storm parliament. That is happening today. Protesters have stormed Kenya's parliament, and Nairobi City Hall is on fire as outrage swells against a controversial finance bill. Police have fired live rounds at demonstrators in Kenya's capital city, and the CNN team observed two bodies lying motionless on the ground. Vehicles parked at Kenya's Supreme Court have been set on fire. That's according to CNN affiliate Citizen TV. In Kenya, the nationwide protest started in response to proposed tax hikes, culminating in a planned total shutdown of the country. Ambassadors and high commissioners in Kenya from countries including the United States have said they are deeply concerned by the violence in the country. Embassies and high commissioners from Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Ireland, the Netherlands, Norway, Romania, Sweden, the United Kingdom, and the United States said in a joint statement that they are especially shocked by the scenes witnessed outside the Kenyan parliament. Quote, we regret the tragic loss of life and injuries sustained, including by the use of live fire. We welcome civic engagement by all Kenyans, in particular the youth, in addressing issues of vital public concern. We urge constraint. We call for restraint on all sides, and encourage all leaders to find peaceful solutions through constructive dialogue. That's the diplomatic language of the embassies from a number of countries expressing their concerns. We're also hearing of internet disruptions reported in Kenya and neighboring countries. The internet monitoring site NetBlocks has reported there is a major disruption to internet connectivity in Kenya today, following widespread protests in the country that include the breaching of the Kenyan parliament. The incident comes amidst a deadly crackdown by police on hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024 protesters a day after authorities claimed there would be no internet shutdown. The outages have also impacted neighboring countries, including Burundi, Uganda, and Rwanda. That's according to NetBlocks. The site added that the incident is likely to limit coverage of events on the ground where protests are held. So that's what's going on in Kenya, on the other side of the world, in the motherland of Africa. People deciding that they will not accept the finance bill that is going before the parliament. And so they have revolted. They have stormed the parliament. And much else is going on there. There is concern about the violence and the escalation. One comment here saying that, well, CNN has reached out to the Kenyan police for comment. The statement also said that 21 people were abducted or disappeared in the last 24 hours, some of whom were since released. There have also been at least 52 arrests. And we urge the state, that's according to the statement, and all parties to de-escalate the situation and stop the use of lethal force to protect life. The scenes of police officers shooting at Medical Emergency Center at Holy Basilica must cease immediately. Again, the use of live bullets must now stop. Safe passage for all emergency services to evacuate and treat the many wounded is now urgent. So, very serious situation emerging in Kenya on the other side of the world. All right. So we come home now. We come home now because we are human beings too. We too have the capacity to oppose, to disagree with things that the leadership of the country wants to put before the parliament that will negatively affect us. And when it's particularly bad, then the reaction to it will not be so good as we're seeing in Kenya. And so this afternoon, I just want to, before we open up the lines, share with you a couple of concerns that are emerging as we speak in Dominica. One of them to do with this persistent story running around that there's going to be a snap election soon. We're going to have an election because the Labour Party has ordered paraphernalia or have election paraphernalia in Dominica already. I saw one story this morning suggesting that they have their manifesto and so on, and they're ready, and the election could be as early as September. Some say December, some say sometime next year, etc., etc. But according to the same Labour Party, back in 2022, it was necessary to have an election because they wanted to reset. They wanted a national reset. And they wanted to weed out some of the dead wood that was in the cabinet of the Labour Party. So they decided that they would bring in some fresh blood. And people like Reginald Austrie and Ian Douglas and a whole set of them would be kicked out of the parliament on the Labour Party side. And they would get some fresh blood, younger persons to replace them. And that necessitated, even though there was more than 2 years on the clock for a general election. We had a snap election in 2022, and that was less than 2 years ago. That was in December of 2022. So less than 2 years later, we have talk of another election. This one in September, maybe December. So within 2 years, we're having another election. And people seem to be okay with that. So this is the big thing now. We're going to have elections every year or every 2 years when the Constitution provides for a 5-year term at a time. So what is this? Some sort of joke? The people of Dominica have been reduced to some joke. They've been reduced to the playthings of one man and his gang in government, that they can just do what they want. They can have elections as often as they want to have elections because they have all of the passport money belonging to the country, the hundreds of millions, the billions of dollars in passport money for them to buy influence and buy votes and buy elections. So they can just they'll have elections now. What? Every 2 years, every year, every 6 months? That's the new style now. Once Mr. Skerritt gets a little bit uncomfortable and he feels, well, he needs to go back to the people, or things are getting tough and people are asking too many questions, then he'll just call an election. And people will talk about opposition parties getting caught with their pants down. And what nonsense is this, really? Dominica, listen to me carefully. Anybody who is so disrespectful of your vote, anybody who feels that they can do what they want with your electoral process and it exists for their convenience, doesn't deserve to be in government. And if they're there, they deserve to be kicked out of government. And so as I hear these stories more and more about elections coming soon and so on, I'm saying to myself, Dominica, what is going to be your response? What is going to be your response to this abusive, disrespectful behavior? That a man can feel he can have elections anytime he wants, every year, every other year, every 6 months, just whatever suits him, he does. Because the whole rationale behind the early election in 2022 was a total farce. This whole thing about national reset and so on was absolute garbage. It was nonsense. It was a cooked up story to trick and deceive people. As I'm sure you'll hear, if they're going to go ahead with another election in September or in December, whenever else they plan the snap election, you will hear all sorts of rationale and justification for it. But keep in mind that in 2019, we had an election when we were widely expecting that there would be reforms that had been discussed, that had been suggested by independent international organizations, the OAS, the CARICOM, the Commonwealth Group, that came here as part of a joint mission invited by the government to advise on reforms that should have happened before the 2019 elections. The government set those aside to have another election without reform, without fixing the system, without removing the taints on the electoral process that has been using to steal elections in Dominica. And then promptly after that decided that they were going to have this consultancy of Dennis Byron that would advise on reforms to the electoral process, to give us the capacity, restore the capacity for free and fair elections in Dominica. The time was coming for the Byron recommendations to be submitted, to be looked at and to be worked on. And the Prime Minister at that point called another election. So we had an election in 2022 without the reforms that had been promised. Now the legislation that is supposed to give effect to the reforms, reform of the process, are going before the Parliament. And at the same time, we're hearing about elections, snap elections. We're hearing the Labour Party preparing for elections. And you wonder how this is going to play out, because the same legislation we're talking about is providing for a confirmation period that is up to 15 months, between 12 and 15 months. That will be the confirmation period for people on the new voters register. Voting begins with who has the right to vote and who has the right to be on the register of voters. Otherwise, it's open season. Anybody who wants to vote, whether from here in Dominica or from other Caribbean country, from anywhere else in the world, can just decide they come in and they vote. When we call elections, and anybody can come in to vote. But they're standards, there are requirements. And you have to be a citizen of Dominica, resident in Dominica in a particular polling district, for you to have the right to vote in Dominica. That's what the right is based on. Okay? So now, what we have is a situation where the legislation that is proposed, the change, the revised legislation, the new legislation, and the three pieces. You have the House of Assembly Elections Act, which should be revised, which is being revised. You have the Registration of Electors Act, which is being revised. And you have the new Electoral Commission Act, which we didn't have before. And all three pieces of legislation are going to Parliament. There are a number of concerns as to what the government is bringing into Parliament, very serious concerns. And the people are asking once again that the government make some amendments to what is going before the Parliament so that the people are comfortable that what is going to Parliament is actually going to deal with the tainted electoral process and give us a basis for, or give us a process that is good, fit for the purpose of free and fair elections. The government doesn't seem to be in the mood to hear anything from anybody. They say we've gone past the stage of consultation. The Electoral Reform Coalition and its partners, its constituent members and so on, been talking about this in the past couple of weeks. And the government does not seem to be in the mood for any sort of revision to what it is taking to Parliament. And I consider that to be a provocation of the people, because what is going to Parliament is not really what the people want in terms of their electoral process that should be able to give them free and fair elections. Good. When the people are sufficiently provoked by that constant denial of the right to free and fair elections, something will give, Something will give. And just like people revolt in other parts of the world where they can't take it anymore, the current administration in Dominica is pushing the people of Dominica to that stage where they will not be able to take the abuse. They will not be able to take the oppression. They'll not be able to take the frustration and the plundering of their resources while they spiral downwards deeper and deeper into poverty. They will not be able to take it. And the Caribbean Court of Justice has warned us, in circumstances like that, the persistent denial of free and fair elections leads to unrest, protest, and even revolt. We've seen protest action on the other side of the world in Kenya. We're seeing down in Kenya reactions to a bill that came before the parliament, the finance bill, and they said, especially the young people, you need to reject that. We need to reject that. That is not going to pass in our parliament because it's not good for us. And we're going to come to a stage very soon where we will have to say what the government wants to bring before the parliament and call it reform is actual deform. And if they're not going to change their mind about what they're going forward with, we the people are going to have to say no. We the people are going to have to say a very, very loud no and mean what we say when we say no and follow up with appropriate action. A lot of people believe that Dominicans have lost the fire, the energy, the commitment, the sincerity of purpose to fight for right, to stand up and fight for what is right. I haven't gotten there yet.
How much Dominican history do you know? Want to learn some fun facts? We have a great and fun way to test your knowledge and learn more about our history. Get your copy of Dominic Anu, Dominica in Puzzle. Fun for the whole family. Available now on Amazon.com. Visit pushpast10.com to learn more. Email us at dominicainpuzzle@gmail.com or call 877-698-9894.
Exciting news from Sunrise Airways. Starting May 25th, we're expanding to the Eastern Caribbean with a new service to St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, and St. Lucia. Enjoy round-trip fares starting as low as $199 US. Book now at sunriseairways.net or through your travel advisor. Experience the best in travel with Sunrise Airways. We fly to connect people. Book today.
Exciting news from AutoTrade. Incredible savings are here. Take advantage of AutoTrade's Thrifty Thursday promotion. Mark your calendars. On the last Thursday of each month, AutoTrade is offering up to 20% off items throughout the store. Yes, 20% off. But wait, here's more. Keep your eyes peeled for our exclusive Deal of the Day offer, bringing you even bigger discounts on select items. Whether you're looking for car accessories, maintenance essentials, or just browsing for a great deal, we've got you covered. So be sure to swing by AutoTrade every last Thursday. At AutoTrade, it's more than a vehicle, it's a relationship. Terms and conditions apply.
We are in the hurricane season. Remember, preparation is key when it comes to hurricanes. Stay tuned to Q95 FM radio for more tips and updates as we navigate through the storm season together. Stay safe out there.
All right, so it's 1:40, and I was telling you a while ago about this business of free and fair elections in Dominica, which is why we have been fighting for reform of the electoral process and fighting for removing the taints on the electoral process that the Caribbean Court of Justice warned us about. And in July of 2022, the Caribbean Court of Justice reminded us in that judgment issued on Dominica elections that without free and fair elections, I'm quoting now, the preambular value of the creation and maintenance of and respect for lawfully constituted authority would be fatally undermined. The consequences of such a denial of free and fair elections that a reflection on Caribbean history demonstrates include loss of legitimacy, public unrest, and even revolt. Revolt, R-E-V-O-L-T. And as the Caribbean Court of Justice reflected on Caribbean history, right, it was minded to tell us that the consequences of a denial of free and fair elections is revolt. Public unrest, revolt. Loss of legitimacy of the government, public unrest, revolt. In contemporary terms, free and fair elections are so fundamental to the democratic way of life that without it, the very legitimacy and sovereignty of the constitutional state is brought into question. I'm saying this afternoon that the legitimacy and the sovereignty of the constitutional state of Dominica has been in question for too long. It's gone past ridiculous now. And we're at a stage where we're seeing all of the consequences of those tainted elections where governance has been stolen from the people of Dominica. And I'm going to give you one example this afternoon before we go to a gentleman from the Electoral Commission, Electoral Reform Coalition, who's going to spend some time with us this afternoon. Mr. Washburn Coffee is in the house. Before we go to him, let me just remind you that the government of Dominica is building an international airport. Now, I want you to follow me carefully because I want you to understand what is meant by not being accountable to people because you feel they are your fools, you have them under control, and there is nothing they can do about removing you from office. You can do whatever you want. Everywhere else in the world, everywhere else in the civilized world where democracy operates, people get the opportunity and they take the opportunity to change their government from time to time because certain things that the government is doing are not acceptable to them. And there is much that this government is doing in Dominica that is unacceptable to the people of Dominica, but the people of Dominica have lost the right. The people of Dominica have lost the privilege of changing government through the ballot because the system is rigged against them, because this government is persistently and unrelentingly stealing elections, and we have so far chosen not to do anything about it. So, the government is building an international airport. They told us that some years ago. They put a price tag of $1.3 billion plus on the airport, $1,300 million plus on the airport, without completing soil studies, at which point we ask, well, how do you know how much the airport is going to cost if you have not completed your geotechnical surveys and therefore you do not know what is it you're able to build or what kind of foundation you're going to have? All these things are important. You didn't know that, but you knew the airport was going to cost you upwards of $1.3 billion. So you award a contract to a developer to build an airport for $1.3 billion. The developer turns around and hires a Chinese firm to design the airport and to build the airport. What is the price that the Chinese company is charged? The contract price for designing and building the international airport is $672 million. It is half of what the government has signed an agreement with the developer for. Half. And we ask the question, what is the rest of the money going to do? Because now, this man has the license from the government to sell a more than $1.3 billion worth of passports, make his commission and his agency fees on those sales, then use 672 million of that to pay the designers and the contractors to build the airport, and then to hold for himself the remaining $672 million to make up the 1.3 billion plus that they tell us the airport is going to cost. Somebody needs to explain this, because this, on the face of it, without more, appears to be a most savage act of dishonesty, theft, extortion, broad daylight thieving of the resources of the people of Dominica that we can no longer afford to sit back and do nothing about. When an election would be called, whether it's in September or is in December or is in January of next year, for that alone, for that grand theft of over $600 million alone, the government should be voted out of office. And I think people of Dominica understand sufficiently well how their interests are being injured for something like that to cause a government to be voted out of office. But the people seem to have lost the right and the capability to vote governments out of office, even in the face of egregious actions against their own interests. Because imagine, you're spending the $672 million on the airport. It's for foreigners you're spending it, It's other people who are working. It's other people who are driving trucks. It's other people who are mixing concrete. It's other people who are providing the services at the airport while Dominicans stand aside and look. Heavy equipment operators, truckers, artisans, masons, carpenters, people struggling to find work in Dominica. But where hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent on our public infrastructure, our people don't have a chance to earn a little bread. So then the NEP and the head of government that is doing all those things to us says, well, you're making $1,000, you should be able to save 200. I don't know what your problem is or why you're complaining. Is $1,000 you're getting? Yeah, use $1,000, save 200. The same man, what the ordinary Dominica has to do on $1,000, he doesn't know anything about that, He doesn't know about paying a light bill. He doesn't know about paying a water bill. He doesn't know about paying for phone service. He doesn't know about paying for transportation. The state pays for all of that for him in addition to his fat monthly salary and the fat monthly salary for his wife, who's also a member of the government. Between them and their household, the state spends $125,000 every month. Close to $2 million a year on that household of Roosevelt Skerritt, where they dress up in the finest clothes, the finest designer clothes, $25,000 an outfit. And they tell the NEP people, $1,000 a month is good enough for you. You can save $200 on it. Anywhere else in the world, that level of abuse would be punished by being voted out of office. But because they have the electoral system under their control and they can do what they want with it, the people have lost that opportunity and that right. So now we're going to reclaim it. We're going to reclaim it right now. We're going to reclaim the right. Because enough has become way too much for far too long. Dominica, it's time to rise up. Mr. Washburn Coffee, sir. Maybe. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Lennox, and how are you doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We're doing well. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, well,
on today's edition of Talk on the Block. Yeah.
Yes, I should say thank you for accommodating me at very short notice. Mm-hmm. I'm really here in my capacity as the PRO of the Electoral Reform Coalition. Mm-hmm. And let me just say as a preamble, Lennox, it's when I reminisce, I did not recognize, when you and I went to the Dominica Grammar School.
Yeah. Well, that was many moons ago.
Yeah, that we would have been in such a fight. We thought at that time everything was good and dandy. Yeah. But here we are,
We assumed.
Yeah. And let me also say that, we are fortified. We are few in the leadership for the fight. But we are fortified, unlike what other people may think we come from. Hybrid, I would say, parents. Yeah, your parents was in education. Part of my parents was in education. And I think the nature does well, which fortifies us for the fight we are in. So I just want to reminisce on that while I present something on behalf of the Electoral Reform Coalition. Yes, and as we are in this fight, it's another part of the fight. Your program, as I have heard you, is very much part of the fight that we are on in terms of bringing free and fair elections in Dominica and through the process of comprehensive electoral reform. The Electoral Reform Coalition, we have designated the month of June as the ultimate battle for true election reform in Dominica. and there have been a series of activities, including a special Saturday night program. And what I'm about to present is this afternoon, we are having a virtual meeting on electoral reform, that is the Electoral Reform Coalition. It's a virtual meeting, and we have shared a Zoom site that people can get on board and be part of that discussion. Let me say that the discussion will highlight issues. In fact, the topic for the discussion is the omission of critical provisions in the draft electoral legislation. And we have a short program that will include an overview of the electoral reform process, concerns of draft legislation in relation to omissions of the Byron draft, issues of residency, voter ID cards, and that the session will also include comments from participants. As you have recognized in your discussion, Lennox, that we're really at an ultimate stage in this process for getting electoral reform. And if we are not able to take a stance, then what may become of us in the future would be very detrimental to us, our children, and the general election process in Dominica. So the ERC is heightening its activities in that regard. In fact, there will be a major rally, electoral reform rally. We are in the organizing process of that rally, which will be held on the 7th of July. So people should listen attentively to get the details as regards to that rally. Let me just take the opportunity, Lennox, very quickly we have a very short statement that we prepared in relation to electoral reform legislation 2024 time for action. It reads, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has released to the President of Dominica and the Electoral Commission draft legislations related to the electoral process in the Commonwealth of Dominica, and has instructed the rest of the nation to access the documents on the government's website, being fully aware that a significant percentage of the population will not accept the document online for varying reasons. However, the Electoral Reform Coalition genuine interest for the people of Dominica to enjoy the results of free and fair election. The ERC immediately embarked on assessing the draft legislation and conducted a workshop in the I hope I'm reading the right one.
You have a little bit of a mix up there, but sounds like you're dealing with the
I think
where you are,
yeah,
or maybe you had a later version.
Yeah. I think I'm reading the wrong one.
All right. Well, why don't you sort that out?
Yeah,
and
we'll
come back to you in just a minute.
Right.
We're talking with Washburn Coffee. He is the Public Relations Officer of the Electoral Reform Coalition. The coalition has dubbed the month of June 2024 the ultimate what?
The ultimate battle for electoral reform.
Ultimate battle for electoral reform. 1:56 is the afternoon time, and we're talking at Washburn Coffee of the Reform Coalition. And in just a few moments, we'll take your calls. All right, 1:57. I think Washburn Coffee is ready to proceed. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry for that mix-up. Yeah, because this press release is dated June 24th, 2024. So this is the correct one. The Electoral Reform Coalition is very much concerned that the revised draft legislation submitted by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has deleted some critical recommendations made by Sir Dennis Byron, which would meet some of the demands for electoral reform. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit's draft legislation completely omitted all provisions related to campaign financing, one of the most vexing issues which has contaminated the electoral process in the Commonwealth of Dominica since the 2005 general elections, when the Dominican Labour Party sold its first diplomatic passport to fund the election campaign of that year. In addition to deleting the much-needed campaign financing regulations, the Prime Minister's draft legislation fails to adequately address the issues of residency, voter identification, and registration requirements. Whereas the Prime Minister's draft legislation generally satisfies the basic conditions of a normal electoral legislation, the Prime Minister has deceptively managed to avoid meeting the demands for electoral reform by engaging a phantom team of legal experts to undo the recommendations of Sir Dennis Byron, who was paid handsomely by the people of Dominica. The continued deafening silence of the constitutionally instituted Electoral Commission since the 2019 general election is unacceptable, and as a result, the Electoral Reform Coalition is appealing to the private sector, religious, political, and civil society organizations to demand that the deleted recommendations of Sir Dennis Byron must be reinstated into any legislation that goes to Parliament for any meaningful electoral reform. In this regard, the Electoral Reform Coalition invites the leaders of all the various organizations to a virtual meeting to review the draft electoral legislation at 6:30 p.m., that is this evening, on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, via the Zoom platform. The topic for discussion is the deleted recommendations from Sir Dennis Byron draft legislation in pursuit of a mature and responsible approach towards the achievement of genuine electoral reform for the people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. The ERC also demands respect for the citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica from Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who appears to be doing a favor with the constitutional rights of the citizenry to free and fair elections. Yes, this is a release prepared and circulated by the Electoral Reform Coalition, and as it relates to our meeting this afternoon with civil society and private sector organizations via the Zoom platform.
All right. So basically, you have these three pieces of legislation. They are the pieces of legislation that are supposed to give effect to the reforms that we have been talking about for the electoral process now for a number of years. But the Electoral Reform Coalition, its constituent members, its associates, and so on, do not like what they read in these pieces of legislation, especially as it concerns removing the taints from the process, which is what the CCJ admonished us about after all these years of clamoring for reforms of the process, going back to 2005, 2008, there back in those days. So we had the recommendations from Sir Dennis Byron, and those recommendations from that consultancy were reduced to election laws, revision of the House of Assembly Elections Act, revision of the Registration of Electors Act, and a new Electoral Commission bill. So the ERC is asking for these pieces of legislation as proposed by Sir Dennis Byron to be adopted, as presented, or with amendments. Wasn't there some issue that the Electoral Reform Coalition had with some of what Mr. Byron presented?
Yeah, well, Well, we have identified certain key areas, and while I may not have all the details in relation to some of these, but as I look at some of my notes here, the area of campaign financing.
Right. Well, okay. So that's an interesting area, the area of campaign finance reform, because it has been totally ignored.
Ignored, exactly.
In what the government is proposing to bring before the parliament. So one could understand that's an area in which you would like to see the Electoral Reform Coalition would like to see the Byron recommendations, the recommendations in law for inclusion of regulations, campaign finance regulation provisions in the House of Assembly Elections Act to be taken on board,
right?
To be brought back on board.
Yeah.
And just so you insert that into the legislation.
Yeah, well, and you would know that Mr. Skerritt, Mr. Linton, if I remind you, he had requested, in fact, there was an insert where he had requested you to sign with him.
Yes.
That he would agree to the recommendations.
I was in the parliament in those days. It sounds like such a long time ago.
Yeah, but here is he significantly deviating from some significant aspects of the Byron report. And so following our meetings with legal personnel and so on, the ERC have submitted a dossier to
So you
Prime Minister.
Communicated with the Prime Minister because he said he's not into this any more consultation because this fish is in the oil and all that stuff. But he said anybody who has anything, the bill's on the website. So anybody who has any feedback, they can contact him. So you have contacted him.
Yeah, we have contacted him, and we have not only contacted him, we have circulated that dossier with all the necessary attachments and so forth. Right. In fact, we went back to as far back as the historical email.
So in that submission to the Prime Minister, you have outlined there all of the recommendations that the ERC is making so that the bills are fit for the purpose of securing free and fair elections in Dominican. So you have all those recommendations.
Yeah.
In this area, section so that change this, do that. You have all of that.
Fine.
In that dossier.
And we have circulated that dossier to heads of governments in the region, to
the diplomatic corps,
to the
multilateral aid institutions, and all of that,
to the security, regional security system.
These guys who came down the morning before
we have done wide circulation, and from some indication, we have already begun to get acknowledgement and significant interest. In fact, some of people may have been assuming, well, to what extent the Caribbean is informed and knowledgeable about what is happening in Dominica. So that is part of the process of ensuring. Because as we are saying, if some of what the public expects is not done, then this could lead to significant undue situations in Dominica. So we are at a very critical point. And this is where everybody must come on board, not just we who in the leadership trying to provide some leadership and organization to the process. But we want people to come on board. People have been asking for action. We're talking about the 7th of July as an opportunity where we can have some kind of mass gathering where people can show their dissatisfaction to what is being proposed. Because as I speak to you, we're at a critical juncture. Any time now, Mr. Skerritt may take this legislation to Parliament. And it becomes a fait accompli. So we really don't have much time on our hands. And this is where we are. I know in your comments that you made earlier on the program, you are alluding to some of the fallout that could come along as a result of the government and Mr. Skerritt failing to do what is necessary on behalf of the people.
You know what I'm saying right now? I'm saying to my fellow Dominicans, This matter is extremely important. This matter of the people's right to free and fair elections, the people's right to elect their government of the people, by the people, for the people, is perhaps the most important item on our national agenda right now.
It is.
Because, government has to come from us. Government has to be by us. Government of the people, by the people. So we are the ones whose government is accountable to, by the people, right? And the government must be operating for the people, right? This government you cannot consider a government that is not the result of free and fair elections to be a government of the people. The question of legitimacy comes in when you are the result of stolen elections, when you're in the result of using irregularities and illegalities, using bribery and cheating and all those sorts of things, fraudulent practices, impersonation, dead people voting, and so on. When you're doing all those things, you cannot claim that you're government of the people, right? You're a government of something else.
Of yourself.
Your government of fraud, your government of deception, your government of trickery, right? Not of the people. And not by the people, because if it is by the people, then you're accountable to the people. When you tell the people, go to hell is not the damn business where you get your money from to campaign or to do whatever you have to do, and you don't want to be asked questions. And when the resources of the country are not being used by the government for the interest and the development of the people, then that's a major problem. You have said that hundreds of millions of dollars leave Dominica every year financing construction, jobs in construction and agriculture for people from the outside. Hundreds of millions, while Dominicans are suffering, while Dominicans have no employment. Just that admission alone means that you're not a government for the people. You're not a government of the people either. You have you've stolen the people's vote to give control of the government to people who can get $163 million from the sale of our passports to build a hotel. Before the hotel receives its first guest, they have $160 million in their pockets. And now you're telling us that you're building an international airport. The international airport will cost $672 million. And then the person who you have selected by yourself to be developer is going to get another $672 million for his work on the airport, in addition to fees and commissions on selling $1.3 billion worth of passports. What kind of government is that? And there's nowhere in the civilized world that free and fair elections would allow for a situation like that to continue.
You're absolutely right.
For people like that to remain in government, abusing their people.
Yeah.
So without free and fair elections, we don't have government of the people. We have government by special interests who want to rape and plunder the resources of Dominica for their own benefit. We don't have government by the people because we're not involved. It's every year you hear about a consultation because they go into budget, but otherwise people are not involved. People are asking questions and get no answers. Look at how long we've been trying to find out what's happening with the billions of dollars we're collecting from the sale of our citizenship. Look at how long we've been trying to get resolution of the healthcare issues at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. So nobody's accountable because it's not government of the people. They take the government to put in the hands of foreigners. And then that government of foreigners is organizing the resources of Dominica for foreigners, not for the people of Dominica. We have a huge problem.
Very huge problem. And to echo
and it goes back to our right, the right we must reclaim to be able to elect our own government and not have people impose government on us, which has been the story of the last 20 years.
Yeah, and that is why we are where we are now, because, as you so rightly explained, lack of free and fair elections has consequences. And we can see it in the corruption, in the nepotism, in the lack of development, in the incompetence. I mean, just to say, Lennox, I was listening, to one of the commentaries.
Hold your thought. Let's take a phone call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Nurse Darampo, it's nice to hear you. What you playing in the phone? What you playing in the phone for? Talk to me. You playing in the phone or somebody playing in the phone? You're playing in the phone. I mean, click, clip, clip, clip. What's going on?
Oh, no.
There seem to be some difficulty. Mr. Rample, hang up and call me back. There seems to be some difficulty with your line.
What? Okay, you want to call back?
No, I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
Oh yes, my money for. But I don't get no money for.
Something is wrong there. All right. No, you call. Try to call me back. Okay. There's a problem on the line there. Mr. Ramble is trying to call, and we're hearing bleep, 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 and what she's saying is being truncated. It sounds like some interference there with her line, and I don't know why that is. Hey, Flo, there's a problem with Nurse Darimpa's line. Somebody call her, please, and fix it. And fix it quick as you can, because she needs to talk to us. 2:17 is the afternoon time. No, not so far. It's 2:14 is the afternoon time. Good afternoon. This is Talk on the Block.
Good afternoon, Mr. Linton, and to your guest.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Linton, it's amazing. It's just simply amazing. And the work that the gentleman is talking about there is along the right lines. I believe these organizations should write personal letters to like Mia Motley and some of these other prime ministers and lay out to them exactly what's happening with Roosevelt Skerrit, because they're the ones who authorized the RSF to show up here a day before the election. Because we now will have to see them as being complicit. If they are not aware of what is happening in Dominica, once they are made aware, if they still send their RSF, then they are complicit. They're assisting and abetting Roosevelt Skerrit in his dictatorial ambitions. It has to be seen like that. There's no other way to see it. And there's no accountability, actually just no accountability from one end to the other. And the other day, when the Minister of Finance talked about consultation after the fact, I was like, wait a minute, who's on island? Somebody must be on island they're trying to impress, or they're watching their back, or they believe somebody is watching them, that they're having a consultation, although the event already happened, and now they're having the consultation after the fact. You know, Roosevelt Skerrit has some bizarre, no one knows that better than you, Mr. Linton. The definition of consultation in Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit's dictionary is very varied. If I could use a mild word.
Good. Yeah. Yep.
Enough said, Mr. Linton.
All right. Thank you very much. At 2:18. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Linton. I'm on another line.
Yes. Go ahead.
I would like to know no money. But I hear no more to build airport. That's not fair.
You're calling me from the same line you just called a while ago? Hello?
Yes, another line.
But it's doing the same thing. It's beep, it's beeping while you
okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Well, Ms. Darample is making the point, though, that she's hearing about all this money for the international airport. The design and build is going to cost $672 million. And the government has money for her property that was acquired for the public purpose of building the airport. Many people have been paid, but some remain unpaid. And her payment has been outstanding for years now, which sounds very unfair to me. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dominica. Good afternoon, Mr. Linton. Good afternoon, Mr. Wash.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good
bro.
I
afternoon,
just
sir.
want to tell Nurse Dirampel, they've been messing with your phone. Apparently, what the words that you've been saying is touching some people out there. You and Blue, they've been messing with your phone, but everyone has the day for them coming. But I think it's time for Dominicans to, it's due time for Dominicans to take to whether to the streets or do something because it's so scary. Just like Miss Charles, just like Mr. Edison, Patrick John, and so on. So everything is for a time. So he have an expiring time too. But we cannot wait in the meantime while the country's been going down. The country's going on to the gutters, and our children are going to have all this hardship on their hands. So we have to take a stand right now. As of yesterday, last month, we got to take a stand. And I'm always going to call on the police officers and them. This is your country also, because you're going to be in hardship. Don't think it's going to be one set of people that will be struggling. You and your family going to be in hardship of how the country is being developed and progress of the country. So you all have to rise with the people, not violently, but just take a stand. People coming to the street don't have any ammunition and guns. They're just speaking for a better country. What's so hard about that? So they are the ones and the business people and them. They know that their business is not making money. They've seen the cash register receipt at the end of the term. They know they're not making money, so they have a change going to have to come. Because Dominica was the breadbasket of the Caribbean, and Dominica is still going to be the breadbasket of the Caribbean, but we need the right government, the right people in there to move Dominica forward. I'm listening. Have a
Thank
blessed
you very
afternoon.
much. At 2:19. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Are you there? Hello? Yeah, you need to turn your radio. You need to turn your radio down. Hello? Yeah, I'm hearing you. Good afternoon, bro.
Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon.
You hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you well. Thanks.
Yeah. I was just saying good afternoon to Washburn.
Yes, good afternoon.
I listened to Clem this, and a thought came to mind based on the direction in which Clem was going. Can we organize, Lennox, for a delegation of officials from Dominica, opposition officials from Dominica, past and present, to meet with the CARICOM leaders or the OECS leaders whenever they have in their conferences? Isn't that supposed to be a courtesy that the leaders should extend to the people, all in the interest of CARICOM unity and coming together, so that we can state our case to those leaders who seem to be supporting Skerrit by assisting him with RSS and other assistance to continue his stealing of elections, so that we could meet those people in a CARICOM setting, an OECS setting, and state our case. That is together with approaching the local police and the leadership of the local police to make our case with respect to the need of electoral reform in Dominica, because we really need to find out from the police, for example, in Dominica here, if the leadership of the police force, I hope Mr. Valerie is listening to me, my friend. Mr. Valerie, do you believe what Mr. Skerrit is doing is right for him to continue to deny us free and fair election in Dominica? As a Christian, Mr. Valerie, do you believe that is right? Because if you believe that like we do, because I suspect you know that it is wrong, it is your duty and responsibility as a chief law enforcement officer, to speak to Mr. Skerrit to ensure that he does the right thing and to work with the people to make sure that our protest actions are successful in terms of achieving electoral reform. But just in conclusion, I just wanted to find out if it is or how possible it is for us to assemble a group of officials, opposition officials, and even nationals, that we can go to those OECS assembly to meet those leaders in CARICOM to find out from them if they really are not aware of what is happening there and where is the whole spirit of CARICOM and brotherhood and looking out for each other and all that. Those kind of
let me just say to you, it can be done.
So we really need to see how we can get people outside of Dominica to try to assist us to deal with that issue.
Okay, to the best of your ability, you can internationalize you can internationalize notification of what is happening in Dominica. You can send it to the outside world. You can let other people in CARICOM know what's happening, especially CARICOM, because after all, when we talk of the passports that we're selling, are CARICOM passports issued by Dominica, for example. And we have seen that when we allow persons to have citizenship of Dominica, technically we're giving them freedom of movement within the Caribbean community, which includes a number of other countries. So CARICOM leaders especially should be interested in hearing from the other persons outside of government, the parliamentary opposition, other opposition parties, for example, in these countries, as to what's happening on critical, especially on critical issues. So yes, it is possible for that sort of engagement, for opposition people from Dominica to find their way to an OECS heads of government meeting or CARICOM heads of government meeting and address these matters of concern, especially electoral reform matters and matters of free and fair election. But while the opposition here can organize to go, and while it seemed like there's no problem with that, it's not that these things have not been tried in the past. I remember once Thompson Fontaine and Joseph Isaac and myself left Dominica, team from United Workers' Party, going to the CARICOM heads of government in Guyana to speak about matters of concern that had arisen at the time with the selling of the passports of Dominica and to crooks and criminals and so on. President Granger of Guyana set his security on us, ban us from entering the conference site where we had engagements with certain heads of government of CARICOM to sit down and talk with them, right? They allowed us, they agreed to meet with us, some of them individually, some of them otherwise. And Granger decided that that wasn't happening. So we were not allowed to be on the compound of the heads of government meeting because Granger had to protect Skerritt. So while things that are possible, I'm not sure how they will work out, because we have this thing about heads of government and so on in the Caribbean. Let me tell you a secret, Dominica. There are a lot of heads of government in CARICOM who are jealous of Roosevelt Skerritt and what Roosevelt Skerritt has been able to do to the people of Dominica. The things that their people will not allow them to do to them, Roosevelt Skerritt has been allowed to do it to the people of Dominica. And the other leaders are jealous. So don't expect them to come down like a ton of bricks on Roosevelt Skerritt on your behalf for good governance in Dominica or for free and fair elections. Because a lot of them wish they had the very same situation that Roosevelt has been able to eke out for himself in Dominica. They wish they had that in their countries. Why do you think they send troops the morning before the election, the morning of the election in 2019? Why do you think they did that? Because they don't like Roosevelt Skerritt? They love him. They want him to succeed. And a lot of them want to succeed like he has succeeded in the rape and plunder of the resources of their country. I have no regard for them. I'm telling you straight. That's why, you see me? I'm not big on this hoping other people will do this and hoping other people will do that. I understand it is important to engage with them and so on, but I'm not holding out any hope that there's any enlightened leadership in CARICOM that will take our situation here seriously and seek to use even moral suasion to come down on the government that what is happening is not right. In the very same way as we were, even based on the admonition that we have received from the Caribbean Court of Justice and the whole question of the legitimacy of the constitutional state and all of that. It should concern them, all being members of CARICOM, but I'm not sure they are concerned. I'm sure they would love to do in their country what Roosevelt Skerritt is doing to us in Dominica, which burdens us now with the responsibility to ensure that it stops and it never happens again. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Oh my God, I know someone needs to talk, but I don't hear you properly. The reception is very bad.
No, but I'm hearing you properly. I'm hearing you well. Yeah. Hello?
Well, a couple questions I wanted to ask. You have a guy who is the chief of police. Is he a believer?
You mean a believer in Almighty God?
I don't hear you well. I don't hear you well, mister.
All right. Well, hang up and call me back. 228. Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Elections about the will of the people.
Somehow. Hello. Good afternoon. Yes. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yes. Yes. Good afternoon.
Oh, I'm glad you pick up the voice. Let me tell you, I told them something last week. OAS don't worry first. Carry come don't care about us. Much as Carry go. None of them in the OAS don't worry Dominica. Dominica is on its own. Thank you.
Let's take this phone call. It's 228. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Linton. Washby, good afternoon.
Yes, good day.
Linton, but anybody expecting actions from the regional government, especially the OECS, I'd advise them to cool their breath, keep their breath to cool the cup of hot tea. Because they are the very ones who legitimize sending of the RSS troops in Dominica in 2019. That was an illegal act. There was no state of emergency in Dominica that warranted the use of the RSS.
Absolutely.
And they, the government, sent the RSS to take advantage of the people in Dominica. But having said that, we had a recently a meeting of the Caribbean opposition leaders. Did the present opposition leader in Dominica raise any concern about such our plight in Dominica when she attended that meeting? If she did, that is what I would love to know. Then, I would love a commitment from any and all opposition forces that when they gain governance, the first order of the business will be a constitutional change to make fixed date elections. Because had we had fixed date elections, Skerrit could not be manipulating the system like that and making a mockery out of the whole system. We would know exactly when elections are coming, right? And we can deal with it. But because we do not have fixed date elections, Skerrit had an election in 2019, one in 2022. And lest we forget, in 2022, when he said he was having that reset, he said that reset was up to 2025. So which means 2025, that reset will be reset again. Right? So don't expect anything. Then when you started the program, you made reference to the situation in Kenya. I don't think our plight is any different, save and except we do not have the shooting of people in public by the police like that. But our plight is no different in Kenya. And I don't expect our government to sympathize with those who have lost lives in Kenya or anything like that, because given the chance, Skerrit will turn the police on the people to shoot them down the same way that is happening in Kenya. And just a note, that very place where that thing is taking place in Kenya, the presidential area. Last year, just about a year ago, I was right in that area there and had a great time in Kenya. So it's a nice place, and I advise all Caribbean people, make it part of your bucket list to visit somewhere in Africa.
You were in the motherland. You were in the motherland. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. God bless you, bro. It's 2:31 the afternoon time. We take the overseas line. Good afternoon. Are you?
I don't want to stay too long, but you know where I saw real protest? I saw real protest in Kenya today. I saw real protest.
You're watching your TV. All right. Thank you very much. More phone calls at 2:31. Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Winter.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
And I heard something from you yesterday. Before I address that, I just want to say I cannot depend on the same CARICOM leaders that send guns to kill Dominicans for what they were looking for where democracy is concerned, because they use an organization, which is the RSS, that was established some time back for the purpose of avoiding, for want of a better word, dictators in the Caribbean. And the CARICOM leaders sent this same organization, the RSS, into Dominica to keep a dictator in power. So I can never depend on these people. And for me, these people are a waste of time. Now, I heard you give some figures yesterday concerning the international airport and the Chinese cost for what? The plan and building of the airport complex?
Design and build. Design and build.
Design and build of the airport.
Mm.
So that's like 672 million, I think,
Yes,
something like that.
$672 million.
Okay. But before that, we heard that the airport, some figures up to the amount of 1.3 billion.
1.3 billion plus. It was in
Right.
excess
So
of 1.3 billion.
How the Chinese is the one designing and have to build. So the 1.3 billion was actually given without a plan there.
Yes, indeed.
To my understanding.
Indeed,
so how
yes.
did they arrive at 1.3 billion? They don't have a plan.
They pull
didn't
the
have
figure.
the Chinese giving them a cost at that time. And the other question is, who get paid the other 6-point-something million, the 600 and something million, who get paid that other amount?
That is the developer's money. That's the developer's business. The developer raises $1.3 billion plus from the sale of passports. He gets his commissions. He gets his agency fees as applicable, like every other agent and under the program. And then he has the money now that he collects for the development to pay for the airport and to pay himself.
Yeah.
He says he makes a development profit. The development profit is the difference between the actual cost of the construction and the amount of money raised for the project. That is the development profit. It looks as though the development profit margin is somewhere in the region of 100%.
Imagine that, just about the same amount of
he makes the same amount of
the contractor.
The developer makes the same amount of money as the contractor makes. The designer and
there's
builders.
A twist to that again, Mr. Linton. There's a twist to that, and Dominicans need to know that. According to Roosevelt's carried in Parliament, the developer was loaning the money to Dominica, and Dominica have to pay with interest. So the developer getting in profits up to 600 plus million, and Dominica still have to go back and pay him or a company or whatever it is, the 1 point something or whatever billion it is with interest.
No, that's not happening. The developer
That's according to my understanding.
The developer has $1.3 billion from the sale of passports that really belongs to the people of Dominica. Okay? The government has allowed the developer to pay for the airport and to pay himself.
Let me hang up while you explain that.
To pay. Yeah, thanks. To pay for the airport and to pay himself. And what he's paying for the airport, to design it and to build it, according to the contract with China Railway 5, is $672 million. So if you put that into the equation, and now you factor in the raised $1.3 billion, there's another $600 and something million, almost another $672 million that the developer has as his development profit, right? And they define that as the difference between the actual cost and the monies raised for the program. He can raise 1.3 billion plus from the sale of our passports to build the hotel, not the hotel, the airport. And that's what's in front of us. It is highway robbery. It is grand theft. It is extortion of the money that belongs to it's extortion of the people of Dominica. And somebody in government of Dominica that put their hand on a Bible and swear to serve the public interest without fear or favor, affection, or ill will, to do that is a special brand of evil. That's a special brand of corruption that is just not relenting at all in Dominica. They're just not relenting from it at all. It's just from one to the next. And if you notice, all of the projects that this particular developer has been involved with, that is the model. That is how it works. Sell the passports, make the money, build the housing, build the hospital, build the health centers, and take the difference, take your commissions, take your agency fees, and then also take the development profit. meaning the difference between what you raise under the program and what you're able to build the facilities for. So if you raised $100 million for the Marigot Hospital, and the Marigot Hospital only costs $30 or $40 million, then you have a $60 million there. That is the model. That is how he has operated. With that model, by the time you came to build the international airport, you have hundreds of millions of dollars from Dominica's money under your control that the Treasury does not seem interested in under Roosevelt Skerritt, because Roosevelt Skerritt says there's no money owing to us. Even though we have sold over $9 billion worth of passports over a period of 7 years between 2016 and 2023, Roosevelt Skerritt tells us the 2.7 billion that came in is what belongs to us. The 6.4 that is outside and have not been accounted for, that has nothing to do with us. That is somebody else's money. So figure it out. If somebody has as much as knows how our $6 billion, where it is, right? That person has money to build our international airport. We don't even have to sell more passports. We can build the international airport, and he's doing that. So he's doing that from our money, but then he's making more money. He's paying from our money, and then he's making more money from selling our passports again, second time. So he's paying up our money he has, making more money from selling the passports another time, up to 1.3 billion, and then he is paying himself now. He's holding the money now. He's holding the 672 billion that he is refunding, right? Because remember, it's our money he had already that he paid, and he's now refunding it because now it belongs to him, and then he has the extra 672 million from the development profit. Who does that? And what is it going to take for the people of Dominica to decide that this and this alone is big enough for people to flood the streets of Roseau tomorrow, for people to shut down the country, for people to put down their tools? Listen, unless you can tell us about this, unless you can fix this, what we're doing makes no sense, and we want you gone. Anybody but you, anybody else but Skerritt. We want you gone, and we want our business taken care of. Now, listen to me very carefully. You know, when you sit down, you listen to Washburn Coffee this afternoon. He's the PRO of the Electoral Reform Coalition, and he brought some news to you this afternoon that the Electoral Reform Coalition is organizing this rally on the 7th of July. 7th of July, as I look forward, there is a Sunday. It's going to be in the city of Roseau. Dominicans, we have to show the world, quite apart from wanting other people to know and wanting to involve leaders of CARICOM and so on and so on, we have to show the world that we're serious about us standing up and resolving our own business. We will get help. We'll get more help from the outside world if we show how serious we are. You know, people don't believe what's happening in Dominica. People don't believe that that people in the government could be thieving so much and the country remains so docile and almost like they're looking to see who will go forward to fight for them. So let's look at the 7th of July. The 7th of July is a big day for all of Dominicans to say, listen, we're fed up, and this cannot continue. This stealing of hundreds of millions of dollars from us, from what is supposed to be taking care of our children and our children's future in terms of setting up the engines of growth in the economy so that they can be equal opportunity for all. So all the boats in Dominica, the rising tide can float all boats. We are fed up of this money being unaccounted for, being stolen, being in other people's hands, being going to the benefit of outsiders while we struggle. We are fed up of not having our right to elect our own government, somebody standing in the way of that and deciding for us who our government should be. And guess who it is? Me, over and over and over again, just me, and the people can't change it. Sunday, the 7th of July, Dominica, all walks of life, whether you're living in the north, in the south, in the east, or the west, regardless of which hamlet or village you are, start thinking now of how you're going to make your way to Roseau. Every time we talk about these things, people talk about, well, is there going to be a bus? Is there going to be transportation and so on? Hey, listen, yes, there's going to be whatever is affordable for the organizers, we will do. But the people have a responsibility to organize too. Let us have a big national gathering on the 7th to show our disgust and our seriousness about resolving all the things that are wrong about Dominica under this administration. And trust me, there are some things that have gone horribly wrong, and they continue to go wrong because we're not paying attention to them. We're not doing anything about them. Let's see what will happen after the 7th, when 10,000 Dominicans from all over the country come to the capital city of Roseau to say, listen, we want a change of government, and we want it now. Because we don't believe that the way you're behaving there with this electoral reform matter, you're serious. And if you're not going to do it, then you need to move. You know, if you're not going to give the people the reforms they need, then you need to move. And the people now, 10,000, 15,000 people on the streets, in the numbers that we see in other parts of the world when people get upset and they want action from the government will either act when it sees numbers on Sunday, or the people will act. And the people's actions are very clear. You know, the people know what they want. If you're not going to do what the people want, then you'll move out of the way. You understand what I'm talking about, Washburn Coffee?
Yes, Lennox, the 7th of July should be a monumental day.
7th of July.
In the historical annals of Dominica.
So Dominicans mark your calendar.
To restore democracy and you know, to pave the way
to
for
set the country to right order.
Exactly.
And the people
too
must
much is wrong with this country.
Yeah, people must come out in the thousands, not a few hundred, not a few thousand, many thousands, to say we, young, old, not so young, not so old, all of us from all stations, from all walks of life in Dominica, we're saying that the time has come when we're standing to be counted among the multitudes that want things to be set to right order in Dominica.
Yes.
We want a change of government, because this government is doing all these things to us. It is stealing our money. It is denying us free and fair elections. It is hurting our people. It is injuring the healthcare situation in the country. It is injuring our students at university overseas. People cannot get employment. It has our NEP people under pressure. It will not give title to those who have apartments that are paid for with our passport money. It is just not working for us. The economy is spiraling downwards, but it is benefiting outsiders more than it is benefiting the people of Dominica. Enough.
Yes. And enough.
Sunday, people, Sunday, 7th of February, 2024. Our day. A day of the people of Dominica to stand up, put their hand up, and say, we are ready to change what has been going wrong for too long with us in Dominica under this criminal enterprise.
Yes, we spoke about Kenya, but we also saw a couple of weeks ago what happened in New Caledonia, in the Pacific, because again, some electoral reform the French was instituting in New Caledonia, which the native people thought would, affect their own voting situation down there, and they took action. So we are seeing it where people need to stand. And while we agree that we can involve and notify the regional and international people, but the burden remains on us, the local people in Dominica, to take the right and requisite action. So
7th of July.
7th of July. So Lennox, I think that is
247.
my last comments with you.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
think I have to run to. I need to thank you
thanks,
for
bro.
accommodating the ERC at very short notice.
Thank you very much.
And just to remind our listeners again, this virtual meeting this evening, 6:30. We have circulated a Zoom
link.
Yeah, Zoom link. So we are expecting to have a good discussion, and all that is to involve all the potentials, all the stakeholders. We have to broaden our scope in terms of bringing people on board for that fight. So that is part of that whole process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lennox.
God bless.
Yeah.
Washburn Coffey, the public relations officer of the Electoral Reform Coalition. He joined us for the past hour. Let's take some more of your phone calls. It's 2:48. Good afternoon. No, let's try this line. Yes. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, Mr. Linton.
Talk on the block. Good afternoon. Yes.
Yes. You realize the young protesters of Kenya, they stormed the parliament. They went inside of parliament.
Yes, yes.
I was just watching that.
Yeah.
Wow. They are brave.
Yeah. Okay. We're taking your phone call. This is Talk on the Block. Talk on the Block on Q95 this afternoon. It's Tuesday. And you're with us. Yes, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Who are the people, Lennox?
I some time ago I was here. I tolerated a little bit of that, and it's becoming annoying. It's become very annoying. The people are the people. The people of Dominica. The majority of the people of Dominica. All right. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mr. Linton, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Al.
How you doing?
Good afternoon, Al. It was good to meet you. It was good to meet you.
Yes.
All is well? All is well?
All is well.
Good.
I can't complain. Yeah. Mr. Coffey, my good old man, how you doing?
No, he left. He just left.
Oh, you left already?
He just left.
Oh, I was calling to ask him a question, but I wanted to know if he was in favor of the Byron report or a lot of stuff from the Byron report. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay. He's listening. I'm sure he'll be back here soon or some other occasion. And you always listen, so you'll get a chance to catch up with him on that. All right?
Okay, no problem. That's it.
Thanks, bro. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Linton.
Hi, bro. What's up?
Roosevelt Skerritt needs to get a wake-up call. And that wake-up call will only come in a mass turnout of the opposition members or people who are not satisfied with his style, his dictatorial style. That is the only time that it will shake his confidence. Because right now, he feels very confident. He has the police in his back pocket. He has the president in his front pocket. He has China watching his back. We're not sure where he is with America. He's very cocky. He's very confident. The only thing that can shake his confidence, people of Dominica, is a mass turnout, a peaceful demonstration. Doesn't have to be violent. Because if it's violent, he will try to bring troops and justify it. A peaceful demonstration, mass turnout of the people of Dominica. That's what will shake his confidence. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us. It's 2:51. Good afternoon.
Hey, Honorable, good afternoon to you, sir.
My brother, how are you?
I'm doing good, man.
Good.
Giving thanks.
Good.
Yeah, well, just to answer my very good friend, Clairville Mule, and question. I am part of the people. And we, the people of Dominica, we recognize that Dominica belonging to all of us, and each and every one of us under the Constitution have the opportunity, or we have the responsibility to preserve it and to keep it and to hold it. So on that day, what is the date, Lenny?
The 7th of July, Sunday, 7th of July.
Golden day. And do you know that is a very golden day? The queeness of all days, Sunday. So on that day, the 7th of July, I invite him as a people of Dominica as well. We the people to be there. I invite in all of Dominica to be there on that very important historic event, because really and truly, this is a situation that is ongoing for over a decade that needs urgent attention. And it will only get attention when we, the people of Dominica, come together as one, not party on party line, but a national line, on a constitutional line, on an electoral commission line. We come in together to fix a problem that has crippled and destroyed our economy. It has destroyed the livelihood of people. It destroyed the sectors. It destroyed the institution of state. And we're going to fix it. And in closing, I just want to call on the powers that be, the outgoing Prime Minister, to let good sense prevail. To let good sense prevail. For the safety of the people of this country, let good sense prevail. Thank you very much. And may God bless the people of Dominica to stay strong and to be of good courage and to have no fear and to stand up bold and to stand up strong and to defend your country.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lincoln.
Good afternoon.
And wash your coffee.
Yeah, he left.
You from West Africa, I from La Plaine. I come in and help you always.
Okay.
I don't care what happened, I come in and help you all. I will be there. You've got giving grace. You swing on Pepsi.
Yeah. I pick up the voice.
Yes.
Yep.
I will be there.
Good.
You've got for my life.
Excellent.
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
7th of July. 7th of July.
I know.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. Dominica, mark your calendar. Young people, mark your calendar. The importance of people getting together in the business of a nation is extremely important, especially when you have major issues that confront the nation, existentialist threat to us and our democracy. We have to meet. We have to assemble. Not a few of us, a lot of us, preferably all of us. We must come together as one to show that we are united in purpose about the rescue of Dominica and the need for a change of government in this democracy. And we better start paying attention to all of these calls that we're hearing going around the place, all of these rumors that are flying around the place about election next month and snap election in September and snap election in December and paraphernalia already arrived in Dominica and is the opposition ready and so on and so on. Yes, the people of Dominica are ready in their hearts and in their minds to make a change of a regime that has been corrupt to the core and has done nothing but injure the interest of the ordinary man in Dominica in the last 20 years. With all the trickery and deception, it has all been about a few of them getting richer and richer, and their friends overseas getting richer and richer, while the people of Dominica sink deeper and deeper into poverty, into dependence. It's not a good look. It's not a good situation at all. And it is we, the people, who have to change it. And we, the people, change those things by getting together, by turning out in large numbers to protest and to stand for right, which is what we are going to do on the 7th of July. Don't let anybody engage you in conversation about, oh, they're going to talk again. No. Yes, we will talk. But the activity of getting together is action. Getting together is action. And in getting together, in acting and getting together, and determining what we are going to do going forward, given what we need to resolve, is important action in the best interest of Dominica. 7th of July, people. 7th of July, 2024, Roseau, start making your arrangements to be there. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Lennox.
Good afternoon.
What I really wanted to say is, Dominicans maybe do not know how to protest, but for those who don't know, tell them to look at the movie Lean on Me, and they will see how people just protest. I myself am willing, I have seen that movie, I'm willing to be the first one to stand there.
Lean on me. Lean on me.
Lean on Me, yes, the movie Lean on Them. They will see how young people just protest. Good afternoon, Lennox. Good
afternoon, and thank you very much for that. The movie Lean on Me, she indicates that's good example of how people protest. Maybe Dominicans don't know how to protest, I think. Yeah, okay, good idea. Let's watch Lean on Me. It's on Netflix. Yeah, probably it is. So I'll try to watch it tonight because I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it. All right. So Dominicans, you know the drill, you know the business, you know what we're trying to do. You know all the things that are affecting us. You know what we need to change. You know why we need to change. Because those who have decided they will not change want to be in charge of the country's resources so that they can rape and plunder, and they alone can get rich and do well while other people suffer and die. That cannot continue. It cannot continue. And there's some important business for us to do. One of the things is we have to have a huge showing of strength and solidarity for this necessity to change the government. And if the government is not going to give us the electoral reforms that are necessary for free and fair elections in Dominica, if the government is not going to stop stealing hundreds of millions, billions of dollars from the sale of our citizenship, if the government is not going to fix the things that matter to us like healthcare in Dominica and education, if the government is not going to ensure that young people can go to work and build lives of peace, happiness, and security in Dominica, if our elderly are not going to be better taken care of, if people cannot have title to the homes that they have secured or have been given to them from the sale of Dominican passports, if farmers cannot earn a living from the lands that were so productive for them before because we've stopped working on selling their produce and earning from the global market spaces and places that will give us good returns for what we can produce in Dominica. If none of what is best for Dominica is going to happen under this regime, and we're just going to continue to have excuses, and if we're going to be continuing to give away hundreds of millions of dollars to people for projects that are funded by the sale of our passports in Dominica, while somebody else owns the project, but all the money is going to people from the outside, and we get nothing. We have nothing to show for it. It is time for change. The change that we look for is a must, and we're coming for it now. 7th of July, Dominica, 7th of July, we're gathering in large numbers at the end of what the Electoral Reform Coalition has dubbed the ultimate battle for electoral reform in Dominica. It is the most important matter on our agenda, and we must rise up and deal with it, not wait for others to do it for us or to expect that others will solve the problem. We must deal with it because it is being done not to, what is being done to Dominicans is not being done to other people by his character and his gang. It's being done to the people of Dominica, and the people of Dominica must stand up against it. Thank you. God bless you. Matt will be back tomorrow.